Just a quick question. There's public imagery available saying that highly enriched uranium was moved out of Fordo before the strikes. Is that accurate? Have you seen that? And Mr. Chairman, a question for you. Have you been pressured to change your assessment or give a more rosy intelligence assessment to us by any political factors, whether it's the president or the secretary? And if you were, would you do that?
Yeah, well, that one's easy. No. No, I have not, and no, I would not. My job as the chairman is to offer a range of options to the president and the National Command Authority to deliver the risks associated with each of those, and then take the orders of the National Command Authority and go execute them. I've never been pressured by the president or the secretary to do anything other than tell them exactly what I'm thinking, and that's exactly what I've done.
There's nothing that I've seen that suggests that we didn't hit exactly what we wanted to hit in those locations.
That's not the question, though. It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally what the president says. I'm familiar.
I was about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night, and in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
Why not acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission? The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. I'm very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession with race and gender in this department that's changed priorities. We don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games. Yes, right there.
For certain that the uranium was removed from the facility before the B-2 struck.
So I'm not aware of any intelligence that I've reviewed that says things were not where they were supposed to be, moved or otherwise. Yes.
Kelly Meyer with News Nation, and just off the top, want to say we're grateful for the service of these pilots and everybody that serves. I wanted to ask you, the CIA statement said, when possible, they will provide updates and information to the public for transparency, and I believe that's what we're looking for here. Do you commit to share the Defense Intelligence Agency report when it is ready, so the American people can understand more about the intelligence assessment?
Well, actually, the report that was discussed, this preliminary report, was what's called a restrike report. So it comes to us to give us an assessment whether a target would need to be restruck, right? That's the reason why. So it's based on internal feedback loop that we're supposed to have access to. Unfortunately, someone took advantage of that. But whatever is supposed to be made public will be, but whatever has to stay sensitive.
Sir, can I just jump in? You know, one of the things that I'm trying to do through this journey that we're on together, of course, transparency, but also the requirement to really protect these capabilities. I guess the time's up. So there's a balance in there, right? We do need to preserve options should the nation and the joint force be tasked to go do something again. So I'm confident we'll find the middle ground, but there are some things that if asked, I'd want to not release related to.
So we're going to leave it right there. I want to thank the heroism of our men and women in the military. What they accomplished is truly historic. Setting back the Iranian nuclear program, untold number of years. It was a devastating attack. We appreciate you covering it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Talk a little bit more about your role, sir.
All right, so that, of course, was a press briefing by the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, and also the chief, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, where they went into great detail about the level of damage that was caused to the Iranian nuclear sites. And Pete Hegseth again putting up very stout defense of what he claims about the level of destruction that was caused with respect to the Iranian nuclear sites that were bombed. Again, he went after the American media, saying that the American media has not reported properly enough about the level of damage, by questioning and also citing that leaked Pentagon intelligence assessment, which stated that the Iranian nuclear program had only been set back by a few months. And we also saw that very detailed sort of a depiction by General Dan Kane, who went into great detail to, in fact, point out the manner in which this operation was conducted by the American bombers, the B-2 bombers that were involved in this particular operation. And I'm told that we've got my colleague Susan Tehrani. She's joining us from New York. Susan, we just heard that very detailed press briefing by Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It does appear that the Trump administration is taking great amount of pains to get the message across that the Iranian nuclear sites were struck and destroyed, contrary to those reports that have emerged in the American media, which indicate that probably the kind of damage that was inflicted by these strikes, these American strikes on the Iranian nuclear program, was not to the extent that Donald Trump was claiming that they were destroyed.
Yes, and it was very clear, and we reported this ourselves time and again, that that was a low-confidence preliminary report that came out based only on satellite images. And so what happened, and the disconnect here, was that some media outlets here in the United States, which everyone knows is not a fan of President Donald Trump, they've never been, they decided to omit that important fact about that leak, that this is a low-confidence preliminary report, and it may change. And what they did is they said this is the final report, and it seems that Iran's nuclear facility was not damaged. And I think that's where the disconnect came, and that's where the mistrust started to happen with these media outlets. But nonetheless, I've been watching the outlets that have reported that. They're starting to walk back their earlier comments, and their reporting is in line now with what the new intelligence says, Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, John Ratcliffe, the CIA, and the assessment that General Kane also put out. It was very interesting to see that Kane specifically said that these bombs were specifically made for Fordo. They had been working on it for the past 15 years, specifically for that target. So there was a lot of nuggets of information that came out that we didn't know, but nonetheless, it appears that the administration seems to be confident that they got the job done. Again, it's important also to note that there are about 17 other agencies that have to do their research, and they have to come out with their final report and present it to the president and also the defense secretary. But I think part of this press conference really had to do with the fact that because of these reportings and sort of this detour, the accomplishment of the men and women in uniform, the U.S. military was also sidelined. And for any country, including the United States, that was sort of a little disrespectful to the people that sort of went and carried out this operation. And I think they wanted to bring their stories back in the forefront as well.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with those updates then.